A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing, beautiful people out there from different parts of the globe. It's wonderful to connect with you all. The soul connection is much more important than the physical connection. And this is part 3 of the channeling session, where Divine Masculine says that your name is etched in my heart. To the Divine Feminine, he says that this name is etched in golden letters or a permanent marker, but you are the only one who lives in my heart. In this channeling session, I'm also guided to share with all of you all the 5 initial stages and then the remaining 2 final stages. I also channeled a Divine Masculine in the evening, so I won't do a separate audio for that. I will club that in this one. This is part 3. Why I'm doing so is because just when we see that there are Divine Masculines who are in the final stages of their ascension journey, there are also some who have just started awakening and they are much younger. But why they are important is because they are the volunteers who have come for the coming generation, to help in the coming generations. And these are very wise, very intelligent DMs. And what I channeled is that there is one who is a traveler. He's become a traveler at young age, and he has this very strong need is not the correct word, I think. He has this very strong pull, very strong feeling that he will find true love. And this is because his Divine Feminine has also awakened somewhere in some part of the globe. Now, I won't say that he's very young. I would like to correct that. He's a mature guy, but his soul is young. He has a younger soul. But again, because he volunteered, so even though his soul is young on planet Earth, otherwise his soul has come from a twin flame galaxy. Not a twin flame, twin star galaxy. Twin star galaxy is this galaxy which has 2 suns. He has also glimpsed the Divine Feminine. So this is like whenever you awaken, whenever you're in the awakening stages, this is what happens. They have already glimpsed one another. And he is very happy. He's actually telling to his heart that say something. Like, you know how you have a chat with a good friend? Like, dude, say something. What's happening to me? What is this feeling? Why am I feeling like this? What's it really all about? The first stage of the twin flame journey, which is recognition, is very important. Some people call it temporary awakening, but in my opinion, the name should be recognition. Because this is where you recognize that aspect of you which only wants true love and nothing else. Only wants one love, only wants singularity, only wants union. Because there is such a dire need. And again, what we have within us, we always replicate the same energy in the external world. So in their hearts, they have this dire need to only be with someone who's really their true love. So definitely they attract one another. You can very easily say that the first stage, which is the recognition stage, is very close to the union state. Union as in when Divine Masculine and Feminine energies are in balance. That's almost the same. In fact, the first recognition stage, there is a lot of similarity in the Divine Masculine energy when he is in the recognition stage as compared to the stage 5 and beyond, where he has actually got illuminated and he figures out what faith is all about. And this is obviously a mirror reflection of the divine feminine. So it is the divine feminine who, after meeting all the bad apples and after seeing all the stars in the sky and after kissing many frogs, she finally realizes that they are not going to turn into a prince. She's actually bored and done. More than bored, she's done. She's done with the same kind of people, the same kind of relationships in different forms and packages, but she's the one who's the person who gets into relationships, as opposed to the divine masculine who's mostly into flings or very short-term affairs. So she's tired with these affairs that lead to nowhere, and she's tired of all the guys who pretend so much in the beginning. They act so much, and some of her longest relationships is where the boyfriends or the fiancés have pretended way too much for way too long, and finally she figures out that in a relationship, men do this, men don't do this. She can figure out that it's the energy that speaks way more than it's the name, is the tag of the relationship. And she figures out that all of those men, none of them had the energy of the true lover. All of those relationships did not have the energy of the true being, and they were all conning her or manipulating her, or it's basically she's attracting it because she herself within, she's not clear with the concepts. She has so many traumas, so much baggage, so many wounds in her subconscious mind, in her subconscious reality, which is hidden by so many layers. So she starts reaching to the core. Today I was doing a reading for someone, and this is what I happened to say, that, and I'll share it with you all also, that when you're swimming on the surface level, it's okay. But when you start going deep, when you start diving deep, that's when you see another world altogether. Initially, before reaching the rock bottom, you don't see so many wonders. There's water. But once you reach to the deepest part, that's when you start seeing all the beautiful creations, all the ocean creatures, all the beautiful sea creatures, the fish, the different types of fish, the colors. You can see that there is altogether a different world under the ocean. Now the divine masculine, who's in the final stage, is telling to the divine feminine, because he is remembering the time when he recognized her first. So he's saying, do you remember when I had recognized you at first? Do you remember that time, how much love I felt for you? Do you remember how we were for one another? Do you remember that first step that I took for you, the first step when I found out? What is it? So were we getting awakened at that time? He asks her. And then she says, well, I was actually becoming a new person. I was getting reborn because I didn't want to live my whole life in the same way that I used to. So that is the day. And okay, it's very interesting. Some of the divine feminines attracted the masculine right on the day. They either walked out from a false relationship or a traumatic relationship or a toxic relationship. It's like, for example, in the night before going to bed, they say that it's over for me. In the morning, they wake up and they go like, okay, I'm done with all of that. Now let me just, do something more interesting. And she goes online. I'm just giving an example. This is the most common example. She goes like, yeah, I'm done with all those stupid guys and I don't want to, because it's a gradual process. When you are stepping out of something toxic, you don't do it in a day. It takes you some time. So, but when you reach the final moment, that's the time when you're free. You either get some proof, you get some validation, something happens that it kind of forces you to walk away from the old life, and you actually die that day. You die, from that death, a new person is born. It's like phoenix. It's like rising from the ashes. To be a divine feminine, you actually have to make very big choices, because The other girls, the other people, what happens to them is that when they find out that someone doesn't really love them for who they are, instead of doing inner work, they start trying to work on their external look. So instead of doing inner work, they start doing outer work. So for example, there is a girl, she's very simple. In India, we would say that she's wearing a salwar kameez, she's wearing the basic rubber chappals, which are very very normal, and she goes out, she doesn't do much makeup, she just puts, say, a bindi or something, and she wears like very simple clothes, and she falls in love with a rich guy, and this rich guy rejects her because she's poor or because of the way she dresses up. And when he's breaking up with her, he tells her that hey, I really loved you, I really fell in love with you, I really liked you, I really wanted to spend my whole life with you, I made you meet my family, I took you to my home, but look at the way you dress up, look at the kind of clothes you wear, you are like way too simple, you need to be so like presentable that we should be able to carry you around. This is what happens to a lot of women who come from very simple upbringings, but they marry like very rich guys, some kind of business tycoons, and then they turn into a trophy wife, like who's completely like programmed to host parties or to be in a certain way. So in this case, the girl can have two options. Either if she goes into inner work, she says, to hell with this idiot, this is who I am and I like myself. It's not about wearing salwar kameez. You could be wearing simple jeans or t-shirt, or you could be dressing up very fancy, but you could be a very simple person. Like you don't have many dreams and desires. You're not very materialistic. You're probably being raised to be fashionable, but that is not your end goal. You can probably buy clothes from the street markets and still look very nice. So, what I'm trying to say is that the simplicity is a factor that comes from the heart. So she cannot do show off, she cannot be fake, she cannot make this fake smiles, blah, blah, blah. And now she has two options. She can either do inner work or she can do outer work. Some of the girls, what they do is that after getting this type of rejection, they change themselves completely in the way which is very, very materialistic. And then, so such divine feminines then obviously end up attracting materialistically well-off guys, but their journey never goes off from there. That's where the journey stops for them, and then it will be next life or next birth, obviously, where they could again get one more chance, because this is how the soul works. On the soul level, the spirit tries to give as many chances as it can to the soul, so they keep going into different types of lives. Sometimes they are born as a ghost because they don't get released for a long time. Sometimes like a dog, like a cat, a horse. Sometimes human again. If human, then maybe life of a beggar, or life of a woman, life of a man, or life of an accountant, or life of an actress, or life of a scientist. They are different things. It can play out life of a very rich person. Someone is born in a very filthy rich family. They have everything, but they have a whole struggle of finding peace. They're never at peace. And they don't even get the chance, because there is so much wealth that they don't even get the chance. They cannot think without those things that they're so used to. So this is very important, because the DM is talking to her about the recognition stage. And I think this video is very important, this channeling session, is because in the first part also we spoke about monadic twins. And then in the second one, I spoke about how she's a Hierophant. And now he is the one who's talking about different stages, but he's doing it in his own words. He's not saying it like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 1 is this, stage 2 is this. He's not like reading it from the internet. He is just saying like a verbal talk that this is what happened. Now, it is obviously important that both the parties share the same experiences. They feel very close to each other. There is a feeling of being in absolute bliss, in absolute paradise. They are smiling the whole day. They are very happy, like they're checking the phone, but it's not like they are upset or they anxious. They are very happy to connect with each other. They're very happy to find each other. Like they're like, oh my God, this person existed. This person existed my whole life. I was looking for this person. This person is there. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And there is a lot of peace and calm and tranquility for some time. But because the programming is so strong and deep rooted that it starts bringing out conflicts and fears very, very soon. Then the twins, they start questioning their relationship. Then everything is, they find meaning out of it. They make meaning out of it. They are in many doubts and they start talking it with other people. They start, like sharing with others that, hey, you know what, I'm going through this. I met this girl online, or someone said I met this girl at some party, or I met this girl here, there, whatever, like different situations. Because we live in the modern age of technology and digital world, a lot of people are meeting online, but there are also a lot of people who meet in person. So this is not that kind of love where you are just looking at someone's body. Though the physical attraction is very high in this stage, because they're not illuminated yet. They're not in that state where they can completely see a person's soul. They know, because they are the same people. In future they will advance. So obviously there's a timeline. It's all predestined, as I said. The soul already has those qualities. The soul already has the potential to get that type of wisdom. That's why it is on the journey. So they can recognize, but they are very much also physically drawn towards each other. And this also leads to insecurities, because anything that is materialistic in nature, it will always be temporary. So all that happiness, all that high they get, it starts to fade away. And there is a lot of criticism, and this is not even constructive criticism. It's like, when you know that a person has a certain insecurity and you still say it to them, and both are doing it. It's not just only the DM is the culprit. Both are doing it. I don't want to be one of those people who say that the divine feminines have been perfect from the end from the beginning to the end, no problem at all. But the divine masculine is the guy who's always, creating nuisance. That's not true. Both of them are the same. She also creates a lot of doubts, and she keeps talking about the doubts, and she's 100% sure he's the one, but she has to still do the inner work. Now all of this is basically testing. But even though they go through all of this, they are still very much with one another. They keep talking to one another. Some of them don't. Some of them prefer to stalk, but some of them do. Then there is this crisis. The crisis is where they have a proper separation then. They will have a separation. One of them is going to block one another. Then the other one will have a great life, because after blocking, they get, see, if you get blocked completely, in the initial stages, the divine masculine doesn't want to listen to anything which is very straightforward and honest. He is not built that way to take a feedback in a constructive way, and she also doesn't know how to say it in the right way. She also is very blunt. So if she sees something, she'll be like very in the face. Sometimes you need to learn how to say things. There's a way of communicating. You have to be truthful. You have to be sincere. You have to be honest. But it depends from context to context. If in a context you are needed to be honest and like very angry, but deep inside you know that I have to do this, then you have to do this. So they start fighting, they start arguing, then there is this separation phase. And in this separation phase, both of them realize their love is more deeper than they thought. Because she also thinks that, oh, I've moved on from many guys. It's not a big deal. I will move on from this one also. Or if not many guys, and she has some experience in moving on at least. She's like, yeah, I never call people. I never check on them. To hell with them. And because this whole this chaser energies is there. So you will also notice if you're a divine feminine, all of the ex-boyfriends you have moved on with, they all come back at some point or the other. All of them would have come back to you. to convince you, to ask you, to say, hey, why did we break up, this and that. Now, eventually, this separation does not last long because the love is too intense. So they have a mini reunion. And then this separation, mini reunion, separation, mini reunion, this goes on happening till it drives them nuts. They want to bang their head on the walls, or they want to like throw each other from the edge. And they're like, oh my God, what is this going on? I'm losing my mind. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And this is where it all becomes like too many triggers. Many dysfunctional emotional patterns are there, which are chronicle in nature. Now, one has to be very present, where if you really want to release any triggers, and this is something you will probably only get in a therapy or a coaching session, but I want to share it here. The only way to release a trigger is to remain present when the trigger is there. Not fight, not flight. Observe. The more you observe your pain, the better you become. You start taking mastery in this. Now then there is a fourth stage where the divine masculine, who thinks that, I can do anything, it's very easy. There is a fear in his heart, and it's the fear of unknown. Number one, his ego is too big. The other one, the divine feminine, her self-respect is too low. So imagine that type of a combination. And then you have, true love in between. So the ego wants to survive, but it's finding it hard to survive, to be honest. So there is a natural attraction between them, and there is an unbreakable bond, but there is also mental negative patterns which are deep rooted. So one of the twins then becomes very emotionally and mentally flooded with pain and, rejection and abandonment. And it's coming from their soul, because the soul is witnessing the shadow self. This is the shadow self which has always been there, dormant. Now it has suddenly become active. This unbearable pain, this pain that cannot be taken anymore, this is the pain that actually would lead to the other stages. And both the twins have to withdraw. This is the time they have to withdraw from one another, and they separate. So yes, we have a runner-chaser dynamic for sure. But I would also like to say that till the time the divine feminine will keep running from her demons, from her shadow self, not doing the work. Some effort has to be made. There has to be some effort at least. That's why research work is important. So then she doesn't know anything. She moves on. He moves on. Both of them move on. And finally, the programming becomes loose. This is where the whole runner and chaser dynamic is in its full bloom. And this will lead to one of the final stages of twin flame, and that is surrender. Now, when the surrender happens, they will learn faith, and then they will accept what is best for them for the final physical harmonizing. And they also realize that it will transpire in its own time. They are not in a hurry, and they don't care about the time if they're really on ascension journey. So both of them have to reach illumination in order to harmonize. This runner needs space and freedom. They need a lot of space and freedom so that they can evolve and they can choose again, make the same choice, but this time they cannot say, okay, I was busy with this, or someone said this to me. He has nothing, nobody around him. He's totally alone to make this decision, and he's finally sure that that's the twin that holds space in his heart. No one else can take that space. No one else can, tame the lion. No one can do that. Other than she can do that. Only she. And this unconditional love, sometimes it turns into art, music, teaching. And that's why I say mission, 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 mission. Now, with this, the soul releases the ego, develops the self-worth. Then there is regular communication. For some people, the communication, blah, 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 happens later on. But before that, they enter the stage of radiance. Radiance, this is connected to illumination and radiance. So, wisdom and radiance. She is really radiant. He is really radiant. Everyone can see that they are in love with someone. Or they are in love with life. Then final stage is harmonizing. That's when they start harmonizing. But all of these stages, all of them, they all happen within first. Be it surrender, be it harmonizing, be it anything. This will all happen within you first. You will feel all of these stages first. And then it will play out in your real life. Or whatever, I don't call it real life, the matrix life or the 3D life also. Because 3D life is the creator of all of this. We cannot underestimate that type of life. We cannot underestimate human birth. We cannot underestimate that we are all here in this planet. Some of them could be doing very useless things, but some of them could be very intelligent and on their own path. So this is where I end this part 3 of this channeling. I will catch you in the 4th part because little bit is still left. And I told you in the very beginning that this channeling is very extensive and it has a lot of information for different people on various parts of the planet Earth. So one love and peace out, and I will see you soon.